welcome to the Regular Joe's Podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
It's been a week for you people, and it's been 3 weeks for us. Hopefully you listened to the two-part Top 100 picks or watched it on YouTube. Todd and I watched it, but he's so offended by it, he just left.
He just got up and left. Yeah. All right, well, good. Now we can talk about him. Oh, he's back.
Yeah, exactly. But we had a lot of fun. I know it was long, 2 long episodes. I thought that was fun. It was fun to watch. It was
W-O.
Yes, 2 lengthy episodes. Not that they were too long.
Yeah.
Or maybe they were.
Both. But they were 2 and too long.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun doing it, and I've only listened back to parts of it, but when our show makes me laugh when I listen to it, I know it's got to be decent because
and
it makes
not
me
like
laugh when I was
embarrassed
there.
Laugh.
Yeah.
Dave and I actually watched the second part of it in your theater room, Dave, and that was actually kind of cool seeing it, the YouTube version, and so
it was fun, and it was nice to be, on the show, not exactly knowing what's coming, because as we know, we sort of have to keep track of what we're doing here. Doesn't always seem that way, but
it starts with a rough plan, and we have some sense of where it's going. But it was you're right. It was weird that Daryl was the only one that knew what was coming.
I love not knowing
Daryl.
What was coming.
That was a lot of work. So
and total appreciation to Daryl for all his hard work, despite some of his crazy shit. He had 2 of the craziest things in that show. One was he's never seen Galaxy Quest.
Come on,
he's never seen Galaxy Quest.
That is true.
And Blade Runner 2049, while a fine movie, was in his top 5. I mean, I don't begrudge anyone, but just surprised. Those are 2 surprising things.
I do hope that by now, since it has been 3 weeks, he has corrected not having seen Galaxy Quest. It is literally free on Amazon right now to watch.
Yeah. So. It's so good. Anyway, and thank you, Brian Mix, for joining us, too. You had some weird choices, but we all did. We all had some choices that were surprising to each of us, I think. Yeah, well, maybe not us. Because
Better Off Dead made the list because I had it so high up on my list. I mean, that just
so did
says
one of
a
my
lot.
Tom Cruise movies. Yes. But I think our sort of top 50 were no surprise to us because we've been really talking about these movies for 50 years. Yep. But Daryl and Brian certainly added a new element. So thank you both of you. It was a lot of fun. And again, I wish we could do that with something else because that was a lot of fun.
We'll find something.
So check those out. They are on YouTube. The Regular Joe's Podcast channel. There's 2 of them.
There's 2 of them. Look for the one that has more viewers and less videos, and that's where they are.
Yeah, subscribe. Please subscribe and check them out.
And we will try to figure out if there's a way of combining them, so we only have one. That'll come at some point.
Yeah. But today we're going to talk Loki. As we sit here, Loki is literally hot off the presses. Came out today, I guess probably this morning at 3 a.m. We all watched it. Todd probably watched it this morning. And me and Barry just finished watching it.
I watched it synchronous with Barry. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, good.
I should have watched it at 3 a.m. because I was up. So.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I think a lot of people did.
That.
Yeah.
And we're talking about...
The reviews were out. When I got up this morning, I had to put my phone down because they were already reviews of the first episode.
So. Oh, I know. I always read the Hollywood Reporter for work, and then started saying something, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm not looking at that. So let's go random, and then we'll get into Loki. Who's got random? Barry, what do you got?
So, and you may have already seen these pictures, but if you haven't, I threw them in the Dropbox just before we started recording.
I'm guessing I know what they are.
Indy 5 is filming right now. There were a few different pictures that have leaked from the set. Some of Harrison Ford in the full Indy costume, and some of a train with Nazi decos on it. And I'm trying to, we've been talking now for months, a year more, since we found out that this movie was going forward, wondering what time period it was going to be set in and who the villains were going to be. And I don't know how they're working Nazis into this. And if it's
is there time travel? You think there's time travel?
Or there might be flashbacks?
I bet it's a flashback.
Nazis, they've popped up in pop culture, movies and things over the years.
It's like
a lot.
Hidden Nazi gold or something like this, and we're going to see
that.
Yeah,
I could see the crate having a Nazi symbol on it, but the train and the boxcar have Nazi symbols on them.
That's right. If you're Nazis post World War II and you sort of want to keep a secret, don't stencil everything in the world.
We might be seeing like the waning hours of World War II, back when branding as a Nazi was a big thing, because they were big into branding.
Yeah, and that's why I was wondering if it was a flashback or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to start, following every little slip and secret that comes out of the set. I just thought it was interesting that these got posted, and it looked, one of the photos, I mean, they had masks on, but one of the photos looked like Kathleen Kennedy was on set with them.
I know, that kind of bummed me out when I saw her there.
But, the thing is, the silhouette of Indy hasn't changed. I mean, thank God Harrison has stayed in shape, because he physically looks the same. Just, it's the miles, not the age, right?
Get a couple new pairs of pants, maybe. I don't know. Like, you got to wear those same pants all the
time?
Yeah,
he does always wear a very similar outfit. But
if Sheldon was here, he could tell us what year this green boxcar was from. It does not look like World War II, but then again, I'm not a train expert. Somebody, and I guarantee it's on the internet, someone saying, oh, that's a 1956, Well, and I've said it a million times, and I stand by it. I'm still, I don't know why they're making this movie. Maybe we'll all be pleasantly surprised. I'm trying to be optimistic. Maybe.
New year, vaccines. I'm trying to stay optimistic here. So maybe this will be a good movie, too.
Let me tell you something. I went to the Yankee game on Sunday. Pam got tickets. A lot of precautions. There's no reason to be out in the world. There's a guy behind me telling his girlfriend or his sister, I really don't know which, every single possible stat of every single thing that was going on for 3 hours, and I just don't want to be around people. They're just jerk-offs.
Have you seen actual Harrison Ford in costume pictures from the set?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're in the Dropbox.
On here.
Okay. Everything I see online is actually from that other movie we don't talk about.
No,
you should look in the Dropbox.
This.
Like I said at the beginning of my random topic, I put the pictures in the Dropbox.
I've seen Kathleen Kennedy in that coat before. I think that's her episode 7
and that
coat.
is a very distinctive haircut she has. So I think that's her for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe she's in it.
No. So this it's funny. There's like 3 articles about this that are using pictures from Crystal Skull in the header picture.
They didn't wear masks on the set of Crystal Skull, I don't think.
Exactly.
Right? No, I'm not saying these pictures aren't right. I'm saying the pictures that other people are leading with,
gotcha,
are wrong.
All right, Todd. Do you have other random other than that, which was completely random?
Yes. Apple dropped a trailer for Invasion, which, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It looks really cool.
Invasion.
Invasion is a series that is basically an alien invasion series. It's going to premiere October 22nd.
Oh, that's not soon enough.
And it looks really, really good. And I guess they have like an international cast, and it's told like they're like simultaneously making landfalls all over the world.
Oh.
And so they use it as a way of telling all these different stories of how people react and whatnot. And there's a military aspect, and so this is like right up my alley. They also showed some teasers for some of the other stuff they've got in the works, including Foundation, based on the Asimov book series, which I read a big chunk of at some point. And that looks really good. What they showed of that looks really, really good. It was probably like the first hard sci-fi that I read, and people have talked over the years about adapting it, and this is a very ambitious project. So both of those 2 things are interesting. But definitely check out the trailer for Invasion, because it looks very, very cool.
Cool.
You mentioned sci-fi stuff, and I know, Dave, I'm jumping back in, but so I am almost 7 hours into the Project Hail Mary audiobook, the new Andy Weir book. So a little less than halfway through it. I'm not going to say anything about anything. I'll just say...
Please don't.
I feel like Andy Weir is completely back to Martian form with this thing. It's so good. I'm hoping I'm not disappointed on the back half.
It is. I will say
the first half is outstanding.
Right. I think it's extremely good. I think it's very, very hard to say whether it's as good as The Martian. I would put it probably just below that, just because I think thematically there's some similarities. And
yes.
And he's they say you can't get lightning in a bottle twice. That might be, what he's shooting for here, but these are very different characters. So
have you finished it, or are you still?
I have finished it.
Through it?
I have finished it, and I really liked how it finished. I liked the whole thing. It's a very different story. People will initially see a lot more similarities than are actually there. Raylan Grace is a very different character than Mark Watney in a significant way that you don't even know yet, Barry.
Just the fact that I was able to get 7 hours into an audiobook when I don't have a commute anymore means I'm really enjoying it. I really like it, and I was super, super pleased with it. I didn't like Artemis. I never felt the character that, when you're a one character driven story, which that's what he writes. If the character's not super compelling and doesn't feel genuine, it's a long ride. And I would have, I'd have taken another 10 chapters of Hail Mary. So, very, very good
to know. I feel like I'm saving that until I have to be on a train.
I don't want to give anything away, but I feel like just based on the subject matter, the audiobook is probably the best experience even over reading the actual book, because the way it's performed.
It's going to be tough making this movie. It's either going to be a very long movie or there's going to be a hell of a lot of montages, because a lot of, it's a lot of process. And there's a significant second character in this story, and who will be very challenging to pull off. So
okay, you're saying too much. Barry, how much Jupiter's Legacy have you watched?
All of it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, it's canceled.
And that's all there'll be.
And I know how much you hate being invested in a series and then it's canceled.
Yeah, well, I watched it because I can't even tell you why I watched it. I didn't love the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I watched it anyway.
I never got around to watching it again. That
was the ultimate exercise, and I know I do this always because I feel like something may redeem itself in the end. I watched that entire series out of incredulity. It was just like, really? I think I was just like, I was stunned through the whole thing. And
yeah.
I still may watch it. That was not a cancellation. Television. That was a mercy killing. So
there you go. All right, I got another one. So there are rumors of a Highlander remake with Henry Cavill, which I don't know how I feel about that. I haven't processed that. I mean, I'm not necessarily against it. Is that a movie that you should remake? You should remake every other version of Highlander except maybe the first one.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with it. Is it's like it's got this whole mythos attached to it, and do you start over and
it's
say,
got a brand name? That's all it is. It's got a brand
name.
Name.
I'm putting the TV series aside.
Say, oh, by the way, it's. I think something that you spin off into a TV series, it's very hard to. I guess Planet of the Apes did it. I'm trying to think of what else becomes its own thing. It just there seems to be a lot of baggage there. I also think Henry Cavill is going to have 2 sword heavy things going on at one time. That seems odd.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, here's my question, and if you want to take time to answer it. So let's say he's McLeod. Who do you put in as Ramirez, and who do you put in as the Kurgan? Any initial thought? It took me a few minutes to put some names down, but does anyone else have any other random while we're thinking about those?
Well, questions? I'm going to just shame myself again, as I've done in the years in the past. I've never seen Highlander, so I really have no frame of reference to pick out who should be in it, other than, so whatever.
I mean, was it on your list, Todd? Was it on your top 100 list?
No.
Oh, really?
No, it actually it should have been. It's just there's so much.
It's like Logan's Run in that the idea of it and the thought of it is way better than the execution. I do think probably the Highlander execution Brian Mix, may be a little better than the Logan's Run execution, but it's still watchable and it's fun.
Yeah,
but
I would say it's
great.
I would compare it more to The Matrix. I think it's so muddy. What followed is so muddy.
Oh my God! Well, that's
okay.
What's worse, The Matrix Part 2 or
no? But what I'm saying,
or Highlander Part 2.
Highlander
Part 2
would be
a show in of itself.
Oh my God!
But what I'm saying is I honestly at this point may have more affinity for the TV series than the original movie, just because it's so hard to get those sequels out of you.
I never really watched much of the TV series.
See, I watched all of it, and
all the movies,
and I did like it. It was a little shocky, but it was I did like it, and in one of the things
you have to watch
one of the
Highlander
oddest things ever. The last film tied the movie and the TV series together.
Oh yeah,
it was very odd.
Barry needs to watch the first Highlander just to experience how bad and crazy the second Highlander is.
But also, it's not just bad and crazy. There's a couple like plot points that just take it off the rails, because there's a director's cut that has those things trimmed out of there.
Okay, Barry.
No, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying
cuts are usually better.
No, I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying when you take out those... Why am I tap dancing around this? When you take out the allusion to there being aliens, okay, it's just a kind of benign sequel. But the whole alien thing was like, what the hell?
God, it was crazy. It was just really crazy. It was, even though it's not anything like it, there was a Zardoz feeling to it, because it's Sean Connery and it's just awful.
It's weird Sean Connery, right?
It's weird Sean Connery.
Yeah, it was weird.
Well, it's like, and honestly,
I've seen bits and pieces of it over the years on TV, but I've never seen the whole
one
thing.
Of the most significant things in the first film was Sean Connery dying. I mean, that was a big motivation. It's kind of like Newting, really. It's like, I'm going to spend the whole movie trying to save Newt, and then we're going to kill her before the next sequel. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and like you mentioned Logan's Run, like, if I'd never seen Logan's Run and watched it now for the first time, I probably wouldn't have the love for it that I have, because I saw it when I was a kid.
Logan's Run is actually getting a lot of love recently. I read a couple articles about it, of how groundbreaking it was, and how it's very much in Star Wars shadow, but should be seen as like the last movie of the previous science fiction era.
Totally is.
And should be recognized as kind of like the capstone of that era, and as opposed to an inadequate, thing. I mean, it also really demonstrates how much Star Wars reset that field. So, yeah.
Anyway, all right. I had Liam Neeson as Ramirez.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. No, I wasn't there. I was thinking other directions, and that's really good.
The three people I had for Ramirez are Liam Neeson, Jeremy Irons, and Gary Oldman.
Okay, I could see. It could work, because I think Ramirez is meant to be like more charming than physically imposing.
Yeah,
you could go different ways. You could go different ways with him. You could do both, either Liam Neeson or Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, good choices. And Kurgan would be
The Rock.
Yeah,
no, I mean, it could be The Rock.
It's
Dominic Purcell.
Yeah,
he could be the Kurgan.
I immediately went to Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah, no, that's good.
Batista, he's got nothing to do now. Now that he's
but
not
JT,
doing.
I think you bring back Mr. Crab and let him be Clancy Brown.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we took enough time with that. Any other random?
I had one really quick one.
Okay.
McFarlane Toys is releasing a 1966 Batcave playset. That is all they've said. There's one picture, but it doesn't say what it comes with. If it's got a picture with the Batmobile and Batman and Robin and the Joker. I don't know if the figures come with. I don't know anything.
They kind of made one. Well, they made a model.
This looks like a full size.
Some of their stuff I gotta say is incredible. If you get a chance, check out the 2 figures they just previewed from The Boys.
Oh, really?
And that Homelander looks amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just, I knew that you guys would be interested. Apparently there's a Batcave playset.
The Homelander comes with little inset eye blasts.
Oh, that's
cool.
So,
while I was at the baseball game, there were a couple home runs hit, and it just made me think, McFarlane paid millions of dollars for those home run balls back when in the 90s when everyone was hitting. Those have to be worthless now. I mean, he paid like $1 million for those home
run. Sports memorabilia is off the charts.
Really?
Still.
Even those things? It can't be worth what he paid for that stuff.
I don't know.
Anyway, you know who's not worthless? Fanboy Collectibles. They are awesome and worth every penny. Trade in your home run balls to buy shit. Lots of stuff out. In stock. Hot Toys life-size Grogu. Need that. Pops. Seinfeld. Fonzie. The cast of Seinfeld. There's a Fonzie one. Hot Toys, what's that? Queel. With and without the blurg. Everyone needs that. Barry may have ordered that.
I may have already ordered Queel. Without blurg.
Oh, okay. There's a Sideshow Thanos. There's a Bandai SH Monster Arts Godzilla from the anime series. There's all kinds of stuff.
Tons of stuff.
Check them out online, fanboycollectibles.com. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut. Tell them the regular Joe sent you. And Troy did send us at least his top 26 list of movies, and he had definitely had some things right on point. Thank you, Troy.
He also
did question why there wasn't Jaws. I had Jaws on my list, and they had mentioned it on the show, and no one got it. J.J. Abrams was doing this with us. It would have been in his top 10.
Yeah, I had Jaws in my extended list. It just kept getting moved down because, again, like I said, I kind of looked at this as like my Desert Island DVD ultimate list. I don't think I ever need to see Jaws again. It's a great film, but it's kind of burned into my head.
Fair enough.
What was the movie that Troy said that made him question his sponsorship of our show?
Joe versus the Volcano.
Joe versus the Volcano, that's right.
And who had that? I still don't remember who had that.
I think it was Daryl. It was either Daryl or Brian. I know it wasn't one of the three of us.
I think it might have been both, actually, but I think it was Brian.
And I do love that movie, but it would never make my top 100.
Troy, that wasn't any of us, so...
No.
That's right.
I think I did email you then, so don't worry about it. You're secure. Okay. Loki. We all watched it within the past hour or so.
A few hours, yeah. I mean, just right out of the gate, it certainly was a more exciting first episode than all of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I know.
I'll say that.
Oh, and honestly, I think both it and WandaVision. I think it was like, I think you knew exactly what was going on. They spelled it right out for you, but it was still really engaging. You know, there was at least one good twist in there at the end.
Yeah,
and
it seems like it's going to be fun with some seriousness to it. So
it exactly. And I think
WandaVision started to feel like Marvel halfway through it. This felt like Marvel from the first frame.
Get-go.
But still with some this is going somewhere and you're not exactly sure where it's going, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we're on the road. You know, we're definitely getting somewhere.
A few things that I really liked were like how they used the stock footage and stuff, and you know how they basically he caught himself up on the life that this variant didn't live, and all the mistakes he made. One almost moment of heroism, and it makes. They needed to get from 2012 Loki to a Loki who you could at least consider doing the right thing at some point, and I think doing it the way they did, taking, let's just say, the Martha route, it was, I think it worked.
I think, they because he could easily be an unlikable character, and of all, I don't know how many movies he's been in. There's half a dozen at least. He's probably likable in, again, you like the character, but is he, right. A likable actual character? You like him in one movie, so you had to get him to where you want him to be the hero of
Marvel's done well with this character is Loki is all over the map, okay, and always has been. And sometimes he's, it's mischief, and sometimes it's benevolence, and not a lot of like heroic stuff, but they've had the spectrum with him, and I think largely because the character is so liked that people just glommed onto this character, and I think that's why he's made so many appearances and why we're where we're at with him. But I think if he's just a chaos agent, this would be far less interesting than being morally conflicted, and we'll see. I think this is probably the strongest start of the three shows.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, Wanda, we didn't know where we were going.
We'll put it this way: Wanda's first episode wouldn't even really stand on its own. They gave us 2 episodes. It was the only time they did that because it wouldn't stand on its own.
And they were going to give us 3, but it wasn't ready.
And this clearly stands on its own. It sets the stage, and it's very compelling for where it goes from here.
And that's the thing. I feel like we're seeing the Marvel of the movies, as opposed to sort of the Marvel we saw with Winter Soldier, where it's like, all right, we're moving along. We're not really we're not developing it. They did something clever, like you said. We really, in 45 minutes, got Loki from someone who's a bad guy to someone who's like, maybe realizes he needs to redeem himself after, they did that good plot device of how do we get him from bad guy to the audience sort of on his side,
right? And that's totally just good. It. And they needed to get from, the Loki who, in 2012, recently Hulk smashed Loki to.
Killed Coulson a couple hours ago,
exactly.
A couple days ago.
This is really a Loki who had just killed Phil Coulson, and to getting to the Loki that we had in Ragnarok. So
yeah, and that's the cleverness I think we missed in Winter Soldier. It's just the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, not the Winter Soldier, because we just didn't get any of that. It was just sort of like, dum-de-dum, let's just move along.
One of the things I really liked about it too is that he's in this, I don't know what you'll call it, dimension where it's super advanced, but the technology looks super antiquated, and I kind of like that juxtaposition.
The whole idea of time being different. So 70s furniture,
all of the furniture, all of the equipment, it all looks like it's from the 50s, and even the cartoon orientation video that they showed felt very Flintstones, Hanna-Barbera-esque, or even earlier.
That was all great.
Yeah, they
I looked up that
heavy
television
into
too.
The unchanging bureaucracy thing, where this is just like it's just looks like a 60s office kind of thing, and there's no reason for any of that stuff to change because the technology behind it is changing, but it's just
and I knew I've known this for a while, but I had official confirmation tonight that I have officially turned my wife into a geek. At the point where the guy didn't have the ticket and they prodded him and he evaporated, she looks at me, she goes, "No ticket."
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
She got it.
So,
but yeah, that was great stuff. Really good.
Yeah, and I also think he did a really good job with it. he ran the whole kind of range through this thing. He was defiant. You saw all the different versions of Loki in this. He was defiant.
When he landed in the desert and he got up on that rock and started doing his
not like, okay, I'm just going to totally take charge here. And the other thing too is I started realizing this was a brilliant pilot episode. I mean, they explain so many things that will probably come up later, but like
that's true.
Him saying Midgard and the other characters, all right, Earth, yeah, that's what you call Earth. Stuff like this. It hasn't really been explained, but they're going to have to drag this whole home audience along, doing the lead in, showing that scene from the Avengers, and I love when he's in court and he says, well, the Avengers are really the ones that changed time. And the judge just says, oh, no, they put it back the way it was supposed to be.
Right.
You're right. I mean, I didn't, you got that as watching it. But to see, that is the Marvel, making smart movies, being clever, really, that we totally didn't get in that other
The other
series.
thing that they did, which is maybe setting up stuff for this episode, for this show, or maybe setting stuff up for Doctor Strange, they started explaining what the multiverse is, and how it's, and they even said they used the word madness in that explanation of what the multiverse was, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is setting the seeds for the new Doctor Strange movie too.
I mean, this could end with this whole thing going off the rails, and it maybe has to. So, I thought it was extremely good. I thought it was a really solid pilot, first episode. I think having the other character there for the, I don't want to say buddy element, but someone to explain things to and someone to provide guidelines and boundaries, I think is
and Owen Wilson plays that role in a lot of like Vince Vaughn movies, but he played it really well here too. Like
he does, yeah.
He really did a good job.
I kind of think that might be why they tapped him, and but it definitely works. So,
but you know what? All of those Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson movies are very watchable too.
Yeah,
I mean, not to say they'd make my top 100 list ever, but
right. I'll
watch them every time they're on TV, and watched a half hour of it before I change channels. They're all fun.
He's that sort of guy who's, in a lot of different movies, certainly.
They just said they're making a Wedding Crashers 2 for Netflix.
Yeah, they're talking about it.
Yeah.
So he's got. It's interesting in the previews. He was walking around with that jumpsuit, and it said Variant on the back. But in this, it always has the logo on the back. So I'm wondering whether...
Oh, that's interesting.
So I'm wondering whether...
When they catch the other Loki, maybe it's going to say Variant on it.
That is what I was just going to say, is that the second Loki? The Variant is.
Well, he's the Variant because he left the
he's
timeline.
He's a Variant, but I'm saying why have the jumpsuit different? And that's what I'm wondering, whether, does he step out of boundaries, and that's the equivalent of being a prisoner as opposed to somebody on trial. But there's a reason that change. There's got to be a reason that changes. So, yeah.
How many episodes? Do we know how many episodes this is?
I think it's 6.
6 is not enough.
No, I hope they're all as long as this one was, because it felt like substantial.
It felt like the right length of time.
Yeah.
I agree.
So it's good. We're getting our money's worth out of Disney Plus.
We are.
So check it out. Sign up today. $5.99. No,
they just announced today they've got a show coming out, I think, in early July it's either early June or early July, behind the scenes of like some of the biggest rides in their parks.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
That could be good.
That'll be cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that. Yeah, there's plenty on there. So check it out. Let us know what you thought. Okay, what do we want to do? Let's go what's in the box kind of quickly so we don't go for 6 hours.
Show you with the box. Who's in the box? Oh, what's in the box? What's in the box?
Regular Joe's What's in the Box.
Barry, we're going to do a little, don't worry. We'll do what we want. You just listen.
Listen, it's
Barry,
our
what's
show.
In the box?
We can do whatever we want. I have 7 What's in the Boxes.
Oh, boy.
I got the retro Mandalorian figures.
Oh, good.
So
good.
They are made with 5 points of articulation to look like the vintage figures of old. There's bad reflection on my camera here, but this is Baby Yoda. He's got his little pram and he's got his little frog.
It's gray there. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like silvery gray.
As opposed, isn't it white on the Hot Toys one? It's white.
Well, the second, that was the first one. Then they rebuilt it, and it was silver. So I got him. I got Grief Karga with his vinyl cape, which is awesome. Then I've got the highly controversial Cara Dune figure.
Be the only one you'll get.
Probably the only one I'll ever get. I've got Moff Gideon with his vinyl cape. Little Baby Queel.
Okay.
IG-11. And of course,
because you can
Mando
never have
himself.
enough IG-11s. Okay.
You can never have. I'm going to have a large IG-11 and a small one. And again, Mando with his vinyl cape and 5 points of articulation, and
and Mando version 1.
Mando version 1. These are just so cool. I really, I love that they're making figures that look right in line with the vintage figures that I mainly collect. So I really do try to avoid buying new Star Wars figures, but when they're these and they're this cool, I have to get them. So I pre-ordered these a year ago.
If you're looking for them and can't get them, wait 2 years, Barry will be selling them.
No, I don't think so. Probably not. But, they're super cool. And now the debate is, do I keep them on the card or do I open them and put them in my display case with my vintage figures? So
there's going
to be a...
Not yet, but I might have to.
There'll be a play set, and you'll have to do it.
There might be, yeah. So anyway, that's my what's in the box. I'll go.
That's a wave 1. They planned a wave 2? Or?
They haven't announced one yet, but that, they probably will.
And Bo-Katan and Ahsoka.
That would be cool if you got all of them and maybe a Luke.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I just got a Bo-Katan figure because I for some reason I'm collecting all the Black Series actual Mandalorians, not Mandalorian characters. So I think I got 4 now. So
I do love how you carve out these niches for yourself.
I have these little finite collections, and so I've got.
Meanwhile, you have 800 Beast figures.
It's only 38. So,
okay. Did you think it was going to be 38 when you started that?
I have every Moon Knight figure. I have every Beast figure, and I think I'm down.
But it could be worse. He could have gone after every Marvel Legend figure. That would be 1,000. That would be
very bad.
He only has 39.
And I think I'm 4 away from having all the Daredevil figures. So, because there's not a ton of those. But anyways, yeah. So I've at some point I will free all of them and take a picture of them together because I think they're really cool. So
those are easy to free, so that's good.
Yeah. So
all right. So Todd, you can do what's in the box or whatever other thing you'd like to do.
Dave and I are going to talk about something together, but I'm going to shoot just this little quick. I saw this on Fanboy, and I just love this thing. And this is the Bewitched pop, and it's great. It just makes me smile. So
it really
I'm surprised they didn't make a genie unless they already did.
Yeah, there's it's funny. Some of these, a lot of these things you look at and you're like, wow, that really just captures it. And this one, in some ways, just absolutely totally nails it because it fits in very much with the cartoon image from the beginning of the series, and so it makes me happy. So, anyways,
I am more and more impressed by how with the pop style they are able to, in some cases like that one, just there's no question who that is.
Right.
Yeah.
So many of the pops, I have to read the box to see who it's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. They've done a good job with, almost the same face on everybody.
Yeah.
You certainly read into who they are. I mean, that one's obviously easier. But
yeah. But that's great. And I think they need to do a WandaVision one like that complements that because they just, remember, in the WandaVision
that's
opening,
right.
They did the...
You know what? Before Todd does his thing, I had one other thing I wanted to mention on Loki, and I totally forgot, and it's a collectible thing. So they released today, I think it was today, Loki charms.
Yeah, I saw that.
General Mills did it.
Yeah.
But they only did 3,500 boxes, and you had to be online and order them at a certain time and whatever, and they sold out in less than 30 minutes. But
oh, really?
Yeah, but it's I put the picture of the cover of the package in the Dropbox, too. It's the Lucky Charms box but it's Loki in the lucky spot, and it says Loki charms on it.
Well, Mark has that T-shirt from like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. That I can't remember the company, but they were the ones that always had that square booth at shows, and they had a lot of sort of anime-looking cutesy shirts. Yep. And they had a Loki charms. I think, you may have got it at one of those Eternal Cons.
Okay. Well, this was officially licensed through General Mills and Disney and the whole thing, but by the time I got on the website, they were sold
collectors out there.
Yeah.
And there are.
I'm
sure Gus Lopez has a few boxes.
Yes, he does.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, back to you, Todd. Sorry.
Okay. I guess this is... I don't have this here to hold up, but Dave, do you want to take the lead on this? Because
I've talked about a lot of tools, and I recently have been buying cordless tools, Milwaukee cordless tools, which I like the best. There's the DeWalt's and stuff, and I feel like I'm a bit of a tool snob because I like what I like, and I buy those brands, but I've had the need to buy a couple of things that are sort of, a drill, a saw. You use a lot, at least I do. So I want to go with the ones that I know are good and fit in my battery platform. But there's a couple things I've needed that I went to with Ryobi ones. So you go to Home Depot, there's basically, 5 brands. There's Milwaukee, the red ones, there's DeWalt, the yellow ones, there's Rigid, sort of their own brand that are pretty good, they're orange, there's Makita, which are blue, and then there's sort of the lime green Ryobi. Ryobi are the cheapest ones. And I
thought
always
the Home Depot ones were cheaper than the Ryobi.
The Rigid? No. Rigid or no.
Oh.
Ryobi is cheaper than the Rigid ones. But I needed 2 things recently. I talked about the planer when I was rebuilding my pergola. I needed a hand planer, which basically you can plane the edges of boards. Because I had to go through 34 boards that need to plane the edges. Anyway, so I went and looked. I'm like, let me get a cordless Milwaukee because I have all the batteries. Cordless Milwaukee planer is about $229. I'm like, I'm not spending that much money. Ryobi corded one was $80. So I'm like, I may never use this tool again, and I probably said this on the podcast, but I made a promise to myself once I was not poor that if I needed a tool, I was going to buy the right tool for the job because it makes so much. So anyway, I bought this $80 Ryobi thing. It was amazing. It did an amazing job. I was super impressed. So then I'm doing a bunch of nailing outside, not near power to this pergola thing, and I have all the air tools. The 18 gauge and 15 gauge and framing nails, they hook up to a compressor. But now they are starting to make them with batteries. So the same battery platform that the drills these companies make. I'm like, that would be super handy because I got to be outside on my hands and knees. I don't want to drag the compressor around, blah, blah, blah. So again, let me look at Milwaukee. I have the batteries. Why not? Milwaukee 18 gauge, and I know this is super nerdy if you're not into tools, but 18 gauge basically shoots what you consider sort of a normal nail. That is the most used sort of air gun for general shit. When me and Todd were doing ASOP, I built every single set with just an 18 gauge pneumatic nailer. So again, the battery operated Milwaukee was $279. The battery operated Ryobi was $99. I'm like, it's a no-brainer. So, here it is right here. I was super impressed with this thing. I have a couple of the batteries that are, the good thing about Ryobi is, one, the batteries aren't as expensive as some of the other ones. They don't have sort of the battery maintenance. A lot of them, the more expensive tools will tell you how much charge is left on the battery. But for $99, this tool was awesome. And I am not going to hold my nose up to Ryobi. I don't know if I would buy the core tools, but for sort of the auxiliary tools that are a third the price, I definitely have my eye on some of these Ryobi tools. They've done a great job, and there's hundreds of tools in their lineup.
It's just insane how many they've got.
Todd,
and right now they've got, and this is my thing, so I need it for a project I was doing this last weekend. I figured out that I needed a hammer drill, which I didn't have, and I got in touch with Dave, and I said, what would you do? Would you buy like a cheap cordless one, whatever? And he got talking.
I would have given you mine had you asked me while you were still here, as opposed to
and so
home.
But we got talking about the Ryobi thing, and right now for $99 you get 2 batteries and the tool, and
a charger, 2 batteries and
2 batteries and a charger and a tool, and so essentially the tool is free. And I picked the hammer drill. I could have picked one of like 15 other things, and it's just a really, really good deal. And
those. So you go to Home Depot. It's sort of a Father's Day, a Memorial Day leading to 4th of July sale. Yep. There's about a dozen different tools that you get free. You choose one. You buy 2 4-amp batteries and the charger. Now for $99. When there's no sale, those 2 batteries and a charger are probably $160 because those are big batteries. It's an awesome deal. You can get a drill, you can get a grinder, you can get a circular saw. You can pick all these different tools with the 2 batteries.
Yeah, and again,
that's awesome.
And like I was super impressed with the tool that I got, and I would buy some more. I may actually. Yeah.
After I used this, and then I was at the store picking something up, I'm like, what else? I don't know if anyone uses a grinder. You can cut metal with it. It's sort of like a small circular saw on its side, but it grinds down stuff. That's why it's called a grinder. It cuts through metal. Again, it's $49. So if you have the batteries already, the Ryobi one, if I was just, I would say I'm not your typical homeowner tool guy. I build a lot of stuff, but I would totally buy into their platform if I was sort of a homeowner. There are $199 packages right now that you get like 5 tools and a bunch of batteries and a charger, which are even better deal than the one Todd got. So,
right. Yep.
And it's fine for that they're cheap, but I was super impressed with their quality. The 2 things I just bought.
That's cool.
Yeah, I looked at that $199 one that doesn't have a hammer drill in it, which is my whole point to begin with. But that's actually a really good kit. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. So
there you go. Anyways. If you need tools, go to Home Depot. Take advantage. There's also other sales. Like you want a stick wheel Milwaukee, $99 for a drill, charger, and a battery. That is a ridiculously cheap.
And I'm
price.
glad to have you had said what you said, Dave, because I got to say you are a tool snob. Unless you're a contractor or Dave, you're probably perfectly served by something like these Ryobis. And I had I known how good they were, I probably wouldn't have gone down that road. The only reason I went to Milwaukee a few years ago was because my old Makita batteries kept dying, and I'm like, let me go to another platform. And they do have the best battery platform. Definitely better than anyone. Certainly better than the Ryobis. But then there's the price difference, so it's a whole other story. Yep.
Anyway, that's the Tool Time Minute.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim the Tool Man.
Slightly more than that, but yes. Yep.
So next week we have no idea. In this next couple weeks there is a new prop store auction that we'll talk about that. I know if you have several tens of thousands of dollars and want to send it our way so one of us can buy an Indiana Jones hat, we'd appreciate it.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. Yeah,
and we would not be opposed.
And we'll
to that.
Very soon. We'll be picking out our favorite things in the catalog. You guys at home should do the same thing.
The catalogs are free. You can go to their website, download the PDF, cost.
And pick out your wish list. And when we go over ours, let us know what you think is great.
It's fun to window shop. I just said because this stuff's so expensive.
I just said you guys, but you ladies can also, because otherwise Barry, our human resources manager, will probably write me up after the show. So all persons should certainly check that out.
You know, it's funny.
And enjoy it equally.
Now the whole thing is, and I was just on a bunch of Zooms at work. Everyone says you guys.
I know.
And that's not it's really you all. Y'all, if you want. That's the appropriate thing these days. But anyway, you all check out the Prop Store catalog. It is an awesome catalog, just to look through it. I mean, it's...
all of you individuals.
I think there's over 1,000 items in there.
Yeah, there's hundreds of pages.
Yeah, there's over 1,000 items. Check that out. Go to YouTube and check out the Top 100 Parts 1 and 2. We'd appreciate that. Leave a comment, subscribe, and thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.